Just for those who don't know us, he's Haworth and I'm Bernie.
Well, at least tonight that's who we are.
Some of these poems are probably stretching collaboration a little bit thin, but we were on the same writers' retreat when we wrote them. But there are two new pieces, and we're going to start with a piece written by Haworth. And what do you want to call it?
Yes, so this relates to a little ritual that takes place on the 1st of May every year in Colonsay. So I want you to imagine Bernard is a local landowner, peer of the realm, who lives on Colonsay all the time, and I'm the visitor. This is Beltane, the lighting of the Colonsay Whale.
When geologists tipped the island and the western beaches rose, a passing whale was lifted and stranded on the land. We marked the place with white stones, outlining where it lay, and every year at Beltane dawn, we light torches in its honour.
3 a.m. I strained to hear the alarm over the gale-driven rain battering the windows. This morning, no sunrise would flood the bedroom. Temptation was to turn and dream again, but once-in-a-lifetime spirit persisted. By 4 a.m, the rain had stopped, and we headed out into the dark.
We gather on the hillside to overlook the Carcass beach, and fire bearers process, setting flame to blubber spluttering lanterns. As the whale burns, marked out in dot to dot, we make our resolutions for the year ahead. Then a convoy of conviction cruisers takes us to the brow of the island. We fortify ourselves with breakfast, trailer fried with coffee, and turn our gaze eastward to watch sunrise on Ben Cruachan.
The sky was aftermath grey, and the sea was racked with spume. No sunrise for us to witness, but we took our leave of the breakfasters, took an early morning walk to the storm beach of the east, incised and devoured by frenzied waves, as if geologists were still tipping the island.
Okay, a couple of one-handers from me now. Both of these were written on the way to a writer's retreat on Tiree and finished on the island. You might think that I should have left them there, but we'll see. This one is called Wake. From Oban to Tiree, the ferry's wake suggested pig's stomach lining, I said. Italian dry-cured ham, she said. It was like that, standing on the deck, watching. It loaded more textures than one could handle, but later, my pen forced to stand, some words dried while others flowed onto the page and became my wake. I watched it, disappearing on flattened hours, stretching away across a memory sea. This next one is called Tiree Bobby. There was a delay getting off the ferry, and the reason for the delay was an elderly gentleman who recently passed away was being taken back to the island. We later found out his name was Bobby. My wife and I were out for a walk one day on the island, and we actually came across the funeral in progress. So Tiree Bobby. On our walk today, along threading roads, we found ourselves saying goodbye to Bobby. We didn't know him, but others did. The parking of cars on the verge outside the kirk hinted of him, the man, his passing, now lodged with ours. The mourners inside their straight wooden grief did not know that we'd witnessed his return by ferry to the island, his island, home, now lodged in us. Haworth.
Thank you. This was written after a conversation with an RSPB guide on the island of Oronsay, which is connected to Colonsay by a big strand at low tide. This is Duck Song. They call me the shoveler. And when they give you a name like that, what can you do but bury your beak in the mud all day, digging for lugworms? It's not exactly a glamorous existence, and those twitchers rarely give you a second glance. They're much more interested in the ringed plovers and dunlins dancing on the strand with their exotic airs and graces. See how the watchers marvel at those meadow pipits fluttering above the shoreline, their piping evocative of long-lost childhoods in summer fields. Now, see that little brown guy darting across the Macher? Twite, they call him. And he's one of the rarer birds in these islands, but with such a ridiculous name, who's going to care that his survival is threatened? If only I'd been called a ruddy duck, then at least the voyeurs with their binoculars might secretly admire my prowess with the lady ducks. No, such respect is reserved for foreigners. And as natives, we just keep on digging, shoveling in the mud for lugworms. There was a shipwreck on the beach near to where we stayed in Colonsay, and that partially inspired Drift. After the winter storms, salted planks and rusted boats emerged from the shifting dunes. A ship that sailed too close to shore. May morning spring tides set the sand in motion, and the ship is lost once more. Red Nocturne. Harry can see blood in the sky. Midsummer's dimming light fills the air. Harry knows the sea is full of the gore of fishes. Patterns congeal with the swirling tide. Harry can feel the moon, rough and round, glaring at the land with its big shot eye. Harry hears the far-off selkies singing him captive into the midnight. Harry must launch his boat without delay and sail north past the furthest islands, past sea mounts and growlers and breaching whales. Harry senses he will never reach the pole star, where the sun goes to rest on a midsummer night. And his mother knows that if he did, his boat would circle round and round, like a sea moth orbiting the infernal plug hole.
Thanks, Anna. Our final piece is describing a Colonsay sunset. We were lucky enough to witness some spectacular sunsets while we stayed on Colonsay, and this tries to describe that. 4 figures standing in a chill, turned to the west,
Blushed by the falling day,
watching as dusk, partly formed, continues to form.
in discussions of cloud and southern wind.
The sun at the island's edge, cupped by black rocks. Somehow it is better outside the house, feels closer.
Subtracting 6 yards from infinity.
2 hold cameras, point them, pouring pictures into silicon cauldrons.
Butterflies in jars, hummingbirds in cages. rainbows in hands.
Predicting the alchemy is
Like half-humming nearly remembered songs, singing without using vowels.
we'd watched sunsets before, even held entire conversations about
Magenta, burnt orange, cerise, aquamarine.
and the thick grey disappointment of an approaching cold front. But this one,
Paints melted wire in our eyes, forges steel on the horizon, cuts blood into the sea.
and on each line of colour, words are written.
Washed into the glass sky, staining pages.
Thanks very much.